So, who is Kumare, the false prophet? Well, Kumare is a man named Vikram Gandhi, who, upon studying in his youth sages, gurus, and so-called saints, decided that he believed in none of them. His family's push for religiosity sent him to theologian school, where he learned much about theology but was still not impressed. So, why is he important for us to discuss today? Well, Kumare decided to take a massive social experiment. This experiment was that he would pose as a false prophet in order to teach people that they were the only prophet that they needed. His quest was to empower people, but the way he did it was in a very deceptive manner. You see, this man, Vikram Gandhi, chose to undertake the role of Kumare. What he did was he practiced yoga and then subsequently began to approach different yoga teachers and spiritual-minded people and simply lie to them. However, it was much more complex than simply lying. You see, what Kumare did was he accepted people, he purported kindness, and he taught people that they were their own greatest ally, and perhaps alleviated them of the inner belief that they were their greatest enemy. What this man did was quite extraordinary. You see, there are all kinds of different religions and theologians, gurus all over the world that want to convince you that they have the power to help you. However, ultimately, all spiritual teaching leads us to find that we are the only ones that can help ourselves. I've discovered this teaching in a different way, and I don't intend to tell you about it now. This video is about Kumare. So what made people believe in him? Well, you see, Kumare's intention was to help people. The medium of this intention was deception. All he did was nothing. You see, what Kumare did is he showed people things, but mostly he let people show him things. He let people reach out to him. And this seemed to make him quite uncomfortable, because he didn't really have any real answers to provide these people. At least, not the kind of answers that they were hoping for. However, it seems to be that for the majority of his followers, the answers he did eventually provide them with were greater than any they might have hoped for in the first place. You see, as Alan Watts likes to say, even if we are to choose a guru, it is us who makes the choice to trust them. We have no real way to know if they're telling the truth, if they're lying, or if they simply are purporting something that's a lie that they believe to be true. What Kumare did was he united people, and unbeknownst to himself, he ended up using some techniques that were actually quite well founded. Take, for instance, his blue light technique. In the blue light technique, he would have people stand in a circle and visualize that they were projecting blue light into the center of the circle. This light was filled with acceptance, love, and divinity. Eventually, this activity evolved to people standing across from each other and sending the blue light to each other. In this activity, you were supposed to imagine sending love, light, happiness to each other. You were supposed to imagine that you became the other person and the other person became you. Now, what is it about this blue light meditation that makes it so spectacular? What is it about this strange technique that he seemed to pull out from under his hat, that he knew nothing about, that ended up being so effective? Well, you see, this blue light technique was taking advantage of a different technique known as gnosis. Now, there may be many other names for this technique, but essentially what gnosis is focus on something or someone in which your energy goes to that thing, that object, that person, and its energy comes back to you. This ability, gnosis, which all human beings possess, can be channeled in a number of ways. It could also be seen as a form of magic. Now, when I say magic, I don't mean magic with a C. I don't even mean magic with a K. I don't know what magic is, but I'll tell you what it seems to mean to me. The definition of magic that I've found most relevant is the ability to exert one's intention upon the world and oneself. So, what is it that this blue light technique did? What makes it any different from, say, black magic? In fact, what is black magic? And why don't more people use it? Well, you see, black magic is the belief that we can exert negative consequences on others through willful intention and gnosis. People perform spells in which they set an intention of harm towards another, and in so doing so, they can actually produce the effect of harm on this person. Now, why don't more people use black magic? If you could just take out all your enemies whenever you wanted to, then why don't people do it? Well, you see, just as our energy goes out and goes inside another person, infects them per se, so too does their energy return to us. So, just at the height that we are able to affect them in a negative way, they become negative and they become focused on us, which affects us in a negative way. So ultimately, black magic is something that harms both the person that it's intended for and the person who intended it. It's kind of an ironic, karmatic way of teaching us that no good can come from trying to achieve bad. So what was it about Kumare's technique, the blue light technique, that made it so special, made it so beneficial for the people that followed him? Well, you see, this technique was not shrouded in hatred, anger, jealousy, rivalry, deceit, or ill intention in any way. This technique came from the heart. This technique bridged from acceptance, from love, from enjoyment, from the appreciation of beauty, from the mirroring of the self in the other. It can be dangerous to connect with the all, everyone else, everything else, because part of the nature of the world is to be in chaos. Part of the nature of the world is to be difficult. However, Kumare's technique of gnosis did not focus on the difficult and the chaotic. It focused on some very essential emotional tools. Those of acceptance, love, positive intention, and connection with other people through these means. Now, it can be said that the world is mental, that we see what we want to see, what we are capable of seeing, no more and no less. It can also be said that it can be easier to see the fault in others than to see the fault in ourselves. It can also be said that it is easier to see the benefits, to appreciate others, than it is to appreciate ourselves. It is easier to love others than to love ourselves. However, the teachings in Kumare actually relate to the teachings of another movie which I quite enjoy, called the Celestine Prophecy. In the Celestine Prophecy, they talk about how the world is moving from a paradigm from taking energy from others in order to sustain oneself to sharing energy with others. The interesting thing about this new paradigm shift is that when we share energy with others, allegedly the energy builds. It becomes greater than it was before. So, how does this go against equivalent transference, or the law that nothing can be created or destroyed? Well, you see, this would make sense if not for the fact that we don't actually need to create energy. You see, because there's so much latent energy out in the universe that just because we don't understand where the energy comes from doesn't mean that it can't be created or that it cannot be expressed through us from a source that is not connected to that which is drawn from. A funny way of saying that energy can be acquired through giving it away from outside of Earth, from the dark matter, if you will. Still a little bit complex. Think about it this way. If I have $20, that's worth $20. I can buy $20 worth of things with it. However, if I give $20 away to someone, is it still worth just $20? Consider the way it made them feel. Matter cannot be created nor destroyed, simply transformed. However, energy is an infinite source. Not only does the person, the recipient, get $20, they get $20 plus the feeling of the acceptance of kindness from another human being. And isn't that worth more than $20 in the first place? However, the dilemma is that in this old paradigm that we take energy away from others, this could be used to get others to give their energy away to us under the premise that it's multiplied. However, if that energy is not reciprocated, then it's simply taken. We give, but are not given back to. And this drains us. However, consider in the movie The Shift by Wayne Dyer. In one scene, there's a homeless man, and there's another man who is quite egotistical, and he's just had a fight with his wife. He's found out that she's pregnant, and he's upset with this. He doesn't want a family. He doesn't want children. He wants to keep his life. He thinks that he's happy. But it's obvious to anyone onlooking that he's not happy. And neither is his wife. How could she be? They're both enwrapped in a false judgment of value. Now, his wife, having taken his car, which has his wallet and his phone inside of it, goes back to the resort, and she becomes enwrapped in another part of the story. However, the husband, left without a car or a phone, is stranded and forced to rely on others to help himself. So this homeless man approaches him and asks him if he has any change. He says, no, he doesn't. And he asks the homeless man if he happens to have a cell phone, to which he laughs. He asks this man if he might happen to have any change, because he needs to make a phone call. Now the man proceeds to tell him about a nifty little system where he collects recycling, puts it in a machine, and gets paid for it. He tells him about how he lives under a tree, how he knows this tree. And if you look at this man, you might not think much of him, but you can tell that he's truly very happy. Now, the homeless man, taking pity on this rich, strained, egotistical man, pulls out about 7 pennies. And he hands it to the richer man. And the man laughs, remarking that he's a little bit closer to being able to afford a phone call. And then the homeless man does something strange. He turns around, as if having been stricken by amnesia, and he asks the man if he has any change. Having been given to, the man laughs and says, "Yes, I have about 7 pennies." The homeless man turns to him and says, "God bless you," and walks away. You see, in a reciprocal relationship like this, one person can give another person something, and then having been given it back, they are both made happier. So, how can we manufacture this interesting scenario in our own lives? Well, sometimes it's easier to give to others than it is to give to ourselves. Sometimes it's easier to help others than it is to help ourselves. But we are separated by the false illusion that we are separated. Our egos keep us apart, and under the illusion that this will keep our strength, make us more powerful, it actually makes us significantly weaker than we could be together. Consider the hand. Each finger can lift only a small amount, but all together they can lift significantly greater than they can alone. Human beings are like this. We were never meant to be a separated people. We were always made to congregate, to come together, to be with one another, to form a community, to support each other. But society has driven us from this. Our society has taught us that we need to be on top, that if you're not winning, you're losing, that it's a zero-sum game where you have to take from others to have for yourself. But this is not true. This is only true in the material world. However, we do not exist in the material world unless we believe in the benefits of the material world, in the ultimate benefits of the material world. We have a false judgment and value. Consider the best experiences you've ever had in your life. Did they have a cost? Or did the cost simply facilitate the possibility of the experience? Think about the most beautiful memories from your childhood, the most wonderful places you've ever been. Haven't they all been free? Think about the friends you've met, the smiles you've shared, the beauty you've witnessed. Hasn't it all been free? You see, we're driven towards these ego-based goals, but it's not what we need. And Kumare has shown us this.